What is the first step in risk management? Why does every project in construction forget the risk management component? Why is this not a tool or a focus for us in every team meeting? We're going to talk about that in this video because I get asked all the time, how can we finish projects on time? How can we have lower costs, less overruns? And it really all comes down to not only preventing but managing your risks. So stay with us. So risks are like these black swans. These are like these big problems, these boulders in the road, these situations that like make you sick to your stomach when they happen. They really affect, and I need to connect right now with you, that are going to affect your career. They're going to keep you up at night. They're going to hurt your family. They're going to hurt you. They're going to hurt your finances. When you go to try and pay the school bill or buy your kids lunch, these risks are going to affect your ability to pay for that because it has hindered you from promotions because they were not monitored, they were not found, monitored, or removed. Risks are garbage. They are horrible. They are going to hurt you and your family. I cannot emphasize that enough. And so we must have a risk management system or method. And so I know this sounds silly, but like if you're going to have a risk management system, you really need to know how to identify your risks. And this goes back to the problems are not a problem topic. Every person has problems. Every marriage has problems. Every company has problems. Every church has problems. Every country has, everyone has problems. And we all got them. Statistically, 7.5 billion people on the earth, all 7.5 billion are going to have problems. All of them. And if I asked you how many will not have problems, it's zero. That's a lot of people that do have problems. And look at the numbers. If you compare the numbers to seconds, 1,000,000 seconds in time is 2 weeks. 1,000,000,000 seconds in time is 32 plus years. That's the difference between 1,000,000 and 1,000,000,000. So we're talking about 7.5 billion people. They all have problems. And how many don't? Zero. So everyone has problems. And so, hey, I know we all got problems. Let's all hide them. Let's all bury them deep. Let's all struggle with it ourselves. Let's do it alone. No, that's bad advice. That's bad. Let's bring them all to the surface, see them and talk about them and deal with them together as a team. That's the key. So problems are not a problem. The only problem is thinking that we don't have problems and then not fixing them. So that is the key component. If you have risks or problems on your project, I want everyone to know. I don't want, as the superintendent or the PM, for that to burden me down, for me to take that burden by myself. I need to loop other people in there. I love one of my favorite quotes from Kate, who got it from Simon Sinek, is no one cries alone. Never cry alone when it comes to risks on your project. So here's what you do. Create a culture on your project where people believe that problems are not a problem. Number 2, start bringing all problems to the surface in any forum where you can possibly do so. 3, anchor these problems or risks to real data as much as you can. 4, take time every week to discuss and solve them. And 5, deal with them. So let me go through this really briefly so that you understand the concept. You're going to want to find your risks. In the Fresh Eyes meeting in pre-construction, which we've talked about in this channel, and I will link you to the videos that talk about it, you will want to go through and identify your risks. Those go on what's called a risk and opportunity register, where you have the risk and you have the amount of days that are at risk and the amount of dollars. And when you do that, now you are able to really get a picture of what you're dealing with, okay? So that then you can measure it. The other thing that will help you identify your risk is every level 10 meeting or every team weekly meeting or every team weekly tactical, you want to identify as a first part of your meeting all of your issues or your risks, and then go into your IDS where you identify, discuss, and solve. And so the way this works is that if you have a risk, either from the Fresh Eyes meeting or from your team weekly tactical meeting, you will discuss those in a way where you know what you're going to do about them. Okay, so you're going to identify, discuss, and solve. Now, every risk will have somebody assigned to it and you'll know the data. So that way it's on the top of their minds and it's a focus for the team. Now, you can do 3 things with a risk. 1, you can absorb it, right? Which means that you can just take it out of your fee and just say, hey, as a business decision, I know that's a risk, but I can't cover it, right? And I can't get rid of it, so I'm going to absorb it. That's my least favorite. Number 2, you can cover it, which means that if you have a risk in days, you can add schedule contingency, or if you have a risk in dollars, you can add financial contingency to the project to cover that risk, or you can remove it through proper planning, strategy, and tactics. But it's not going to go away. So people think there's a fourth bucket. People think there's a wishful thinking bucket, like a hope bucket, like an optimist bucket where, oh, I hope that doesn't happen. No, if it's a possible risk, it's going to happen. And you can either absorb it, you can cover it, or you can get rid of it. But there is no such thing as wishful thinking. And in fact, there's this concept that I learned from World War Z. It's a great movie, and the clip that I'm talking about is great. And they call it the 10th man rule. And I would call it the 10th man or the 10th woman rule. And what it means is if you're in a group and everyone's thinking or saying, hey, I think this will be okay, everyone's agreeing, the 10th person has got to take the position of devil's advocate. The 10th person has got to say, well, what if it doesn't go okay? The 10th person has got to encourage the team to come up with a contingency plan, because we've got to get out of this wishful thinking mode and into reality mode of we're either going to absorb it, cover it, or get rid of it. There is no wishful thinking, right? So the most dangerous people in pre-construction are your optimists. And if they're still there at the table helping out, that's fine, as long as you have a 10th man or woman that can, according to the movie and that example and that analogy, really say, hey, what if it does? What are we going to do about it? So if you're going to absorb it, that means it might come out of your fee. If you're going to cover it, that means you need to put it in contingency. And if you're going to get rid of it, you need an actionable step that gets rid of that risk. And so if you and your team meetings every week are always reviewing the risks, and that person is reporting on it and owning it, and these people are reporting and owning the opportunities, your gross profit is going to climb, because it's not just a given. We haven't just like stepped back and accepted the inevitable. We're doing something about it. We're IDSing it. And so the first step in risk management is to really know your risks, write them down, assign them, and start fixing them and solving them on a weekly basis, absorbing them, covering them, or fixing them. And that's really how you drive results on your project. So here's my rule: no wishful thinking. If you want to build a remarkable project, no wishful thinking. And I'm going to link you to a cool blog post in the description below that will help you with this. But the bottom line is, if you're going to run a great job, dig in, find the problems, and start to do something about it. It is not the outspoken people that are always finding the risks that are the problem. In this scenario, it's your positive and wishful thinkers, your hopeful optimists that are the problem. Pair them together to where you have your people that dig deep, your 10th man or woman, plus your optimists if they're there, and go find real strategies, because wishful thinking never was and never will be a strategy. On we go.